trailing you.
Wouldn't want to miss anything.
If nothing else, you're an opportunist.
I understand that you've been through a number of difficult experiences with your brother over the years. Save your objection, counselor. I'm not planning on getting into the witness's history with your client, but I would imagine that the defendant regularly confides in you. Is that correct, Mrs. Davidson?
Objection, Your Honor. This is going nowhere.
Get to the point, Mr. Hughes.
I'll be more specific. Did the defendant ever say to you that he had taken care of the Margaret Cochran problem?
Please answer the question, Mrs. Davidson.
Yes, he did, but that's certainly no admission of guilt.
No further questions.
You planning on countering that?
Just don't say anything. I'll handle it. Hello, Mrs. Davidson. Hi. Isn't it true that you suffer from a condition known as DID, or multiple personality disorder?
Yes, I mean, I have in the past.
But isn't it also true that in recent months you've had a relapse? And that you have alternated between yourself and another one of your personalities? Who is on this witness stand now, Mrs. Davidson? You or Nikki Smith? Under the circumstances, can you really be considered a credible witness for the prosecution?
It's true. I've suffered from dissociative identity disorder for years. But the conversations that I had with my brother that I testified to today, they happened when I was integrated. I was completely free of symptoms.
And are you integrated now, Mrs. Davidson?
No, I'm not.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Care to redirect, Mr. Hughes?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down. Ready to call your next witness, Mr. Hughes?
The Commonwealth calls Dr. Spencer Truman.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. I'll do my best.
What's he doing here? Why is he testifying? What does he have to do with this?
Calm down, Todd. We don't want the jury to see you agitated.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Was the person who murdered Margaret Cochran a man or a woman?
In all likelihood, she was murdered by a man.
Your Honor, the coroner testified to the same thing. To have Dr. Truman repeat what's already been said in this court is, pardon the expression, overkill.
I agree, Ms. Williamson.
Do you have any other reason for calling this witness, Mr. Hughes?
I do, Your Honor. Dr. Truman has information about the defendant that goes straight to the heart of this case. Defendant for a stab wound.
Yes, I did.
Would you describe to the court how that came about?
Well, it was by accident, really. I virtually stumbled upon Mr. Manning outside the hospital. He had been stabbed, he was severely wounded, and he was delirious.
He was delirious?
Fading in and out of consciousness.
And did the defendant say anything?
He said that Margaret Cochran had stabbed him.
And you kept this very important piece of information to yourself?
Well, yes, I did. Todd asked me to keep quiet about it, and doctor-patient confidentiality required that I do so.
And while the defendant was fading in and out, did he say anything else that you recall?
Yes, he did.
What's he talking about?
And what did he say, Doctor?
He mumbled something about Margaret Cochran being pregnant with his child.
Why did he say that?
Are you sure?
How could Spencer have known that Margaret was pregnant all this time and not have told me?
Did the defendant say anything else, Doctor?
Yes, he did.
And what was that? It's okay, Doctor. You are under oath.
He said that the reason Margaret stabbed him was because he had tried to kill her. A good friend of mine who happens to think that Mr. Manning is innocent. And I trust this person, therefore I also believe that Mr. Manning is innocent.
Thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Williamson, do you wish to cross-examine?
I do, Your Honor.
Bury this bastard.
Good afternoon, Dr. Truman.
Good afternoon.
I agree with District Attorney Hughes that your credentials as a physician are impeccable, and I would also like to use your expertise to clarify a few points for all of us. You read the autopsy report carefully, did you not?
Yes, I did. It was pretty straightforward. I would be very surprised if something had escaped me.
The strong probability that Margaret was strangled by a man, that didn't escape you.
No, I agree with the coroner. I believe that Margaret was almost undoubtedly strangled by a man.
Did it escape you that this man was not identified?
No,
Nowhere on the report does the name Todd Manning appear.
that's right.
So as far as you and the coroner know, based upon all the evidence in the autopsy report, it could have been any man in the entire world.
Yes.
Now I'd like to turn to what you heard or what you believe was said when you were treating Mr. Manning's stab wound. You testified that my client was delirious, is that correct?
That's right.
Fading in and out, you said.
Yes.
And yet you believed what he said to be true, the words of a delirious man.
Well, frankly, I didn't give it that much thought.
Oh, because you were busy attending to what must have been a very serious wound if you, such an important physician, were treating him. Is it true that your concern was the wound?
Yes.
So it's not like you were taking notes. You didn't write down the babblings of a delirious man.
No.
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 No. So, since you were so involved in treating this severe injury, is it safe to say that you could have missed some of what was said or misconstrued the meaning?
Dr. Truman has already testified as to what the defendant said.
Is that an objection, Mr. Hughes?
Your Honor, I am simply trying to refresh Dr. Truman's memory, giving him an opportunity to clarify his previous testimony.
Move on, Ms. Williamson.
Seeing as how District Attorney Hughes is so convinced that your previous testimony is the unshakable truth, I have one final question. Is it not true that you testified, sitting on this stand under oath, that you believe Todd Manning is innocent?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Hughes, redirect.
No, Your Honor.
You may step down, Doctor.
Thank you.
This court is now in recess.
All rise.